Joshua.
Yes, absolutely. And retired Major General Gigi Dawedi, you will be staying with us as we now turn our attention to reactions to this summit and ongoing comments relating to this peace proposal and potential deal. The leaders of Britain, France and Germany are set to host a video call today involving Kyiv's allies in a coalition of the willing meeting to discuss steps towards peace in Ukraine, that according to the French presidency. The meeting, coordinated jointly by British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, will come a day before Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky travels to Washington following this US-Russia summit in Alaska. Meanwhile, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz has said that the US is ready to participate in security guarantees for Ukraine and will not leave the responsibility to Europe alone. Merz also added that Trump had briefed the EU leaders on his talks with Putin and highlighted the US role as crucial in enforcing pressure on Russia. Let's take a closer look at what the German Chancellor said.
Und es stehen jetzt Sicherheitsgarantien im Raum. Also die Frage, wie man einen entsprechenden Friedensabschluss mit Russland sozusagen auf Dauer absichern kann. Und die gute Nachricht ist, Amerika ist bereit, sich an solchen Sicherheitsgarantien zu beteiligen, überlässt es nicht allein den Europäern, aber selbstverständlich, die Europäer müssen ihrerseits einen Beitrag dazu leisten, dass auf Dauer die Sicherheit der Ukraine gewährleistet ist. Das ist aus meiner Sicht selbstverständlich. Die Beteiligung der Amerikaner daran, die Bereitschaft zur Beteiligung ist eine gute Nachricht. Jetzt soll es weitere Gespräche geben am Montag in Washington zwischen Präsident Trump und Präsident Zelensky. Dann möglichst bald ein trilaterales Treffen, also mit den drei Präsidenten Trump, Zelensky, Putin, um dann ein schnelles Abkommen herbeizuführen. Wenn das gelingt, ist das mehr wert als ein Waffenstillstand, der möglicherweise über Wochen andauert, ohne weitere Fortschritte in den politischen, diplomatischen Bemühungen. Einen Punkt, da hat Präsident Trump zu Recht darauf hingewiesen, Russland scheint bereit zu sein, entlang der sogenannten Kontaktlinie die Verhandlungen zu führen und nicht entlang der Verwaltungsgrenzen. Das ist ein gewaltiger Unterschied, denn Russland stellt Gebietsansprüche, die bis jetzt militärisch von Russland nicht besetzt worden sind. Das ist offensichtlich Gegenstand der Gespräche in der Nacht gewesen und die hat Putin nach den Worten von Präsident Trump zugestanden entlang der des jetzigen Frontverlaufs.
Well, these comments come as Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney stated that Canada is coordinating closely with Ukrainian President Zelensky and partners in the coalition of the willing to intensify supports for Ukraine. He also noted Trump's leadership in ending the war. This comes after the leaders of 8 Nordic Baltic nations, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, Iceland, Latvia, Lithuania, Norway and Sweden, reiterated steadfast support for Ukraine, stressing that peace requires a ceasefire and security guarantees. They welcomed Trump's statement that the US will participate in security guarantees, while emphasising that Ukraine's armed forces should face no limitations. Well, thank you very much, retired Major General Gigi Dawedi, for staying with us. Of course, we brought live coverage of that summit in Alaska, and the key sort of note point there was the fact that not just Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky was missing, but also there was no European representation. Guests that we spoke to on that night signified that Europe was being sidelined, potentially intentionally, but here Europe continuing to push their support. Do you think, Major General, that Ukraine are a key player in these peace negotiations, or is this support going unnoticed in the wider and bigger picture being held between Trump, Putin and potentially Zelensky?
Absolutely, Joshua. No doubt about it. No, unquestionable that Ukraine is the key player because after they are the ones who are fighting the war. And without them, any peace agreement or any process is incomplete, or I would say unfair. And at the same time, I think Europe has very high stakes because they are the front-line state for facing Russia. And they can't have Putin have his way and have one-sided agreement because Putin still is under the delusion of Cold War, symmetry, and he has a vision of larger Russia or erstwhile Soviet Union, and his designs cannot be accepted because his design would mean seriously jeopardizing the security of Europe. So you are absolutely right that Zelensky is the key player. Ukraine has to be involved directly because they are in confrontation with Russia. And secondly, Europe also has high stakes because European security is directly dependent on how the deal goes. Because if deal goes in favor of Putin, then he'll be emboldened, and that will jeopardize the security of European Union. So I feel that in this whole process, Ukraine and European Union has to be brought in. They cannot
Yes.
be sidelined because that means that it's a one-sided process and which will not result in a fair deal. So I think European Union leaders are rightly voiced their concern, and they are backing up Zelensky wholeheartedly. And this will also imply that America has to be part of the guarantee because as Putin is dealing directly with President Trump, so it cannot be two people show. It has to be a collaborative effort in which Zelensky or Ukraine and European Union has to be involved so that the deal has certain degree of legality and certain degree of validity. Joshua.
Yes, absolutely. Retired Major General Gigi Dwivedi. There are so many points for us to discuss, and I wish we had longer. We could take the